Ohai. Brunei, full official form, the state of Brunei Darussalam, the state. Sultanate. In Southeast Asia, on the northwest coast of the island of Kalimantan. It is washed by the South China Sea. Borders on Malaysia. The area -5.8 thousand km. Population -464,478. The capital, Bandar Seri Begawan. Enters the British Commonwealth of Nations. Brunei was founded by Avang Alik Betatar, who in 1363 accepted Islam and became the first Sultan of Brunei under the name of Muhammad Shah. According to a legend, Avang Alik Betatar during the travel opened the mouth of earlier unknown river and Brunei exclaimed. It is usually translated as here. From where there was a name of the river, and in the subsequent a sultanate. In the subsequent the name was transformed to Brunei, probably under the influence of the Sanskrit word Varan, which means either ocean, or the mythological lord of the ocean. In the full name of the country, Negara Brunei Darussalam. Darussalam means monastery of the world, while Negara means country in Malay. In the West, the Sultanate Brunei became known in the 16th century. In particular, the Italian traveller Lodovico Vertimer wrote in the notes about 1550. We arrived to the island of Brunei, or Borneo, which is at distance about 200 miles from Malik, and found out that he is slightly more than above mentioned and are much lower. Local population, pagans and people of goodwill. Their color is more white than that other sort. On this island justice is well organized. Brunei is located in Southeast Asia, on the northwest coast of the island of Kalimantan, and consists of two certain areas divided by approximately 30 km site of the Malaysian territory. In the north it is washed by the South China Sea. The sea coast is non-uniform. In the northeast there is a Bay Brunei with a set of islands. The sandy flat coast in the west prevails. The western Brunei, the hilly lowland, the foothills in the south are located. East part consists of the coastal plain, which is strongly boggy. The highest point, Mount Bukit Pagan, 1850 m. In the country there are no large lakes and the rivers. Among lakes of the average size, Merimbun, being a component of the reserve of the same name of the wild nature. The rivers Brunei, Tudong, Temburong and Belait flow from hills of the southern part of the country on the north, flowing into the South China Sea. The climate is damp equatorial. It is subject to strong influence of monsoons from the water area of the South China Sea. There are earthquakes. The small rivers flow down from heights and hills on the north to the sea. Air temperature during the whole year fluctuates about +26 C. More than 75% of the territory are covered with tropical rainforests. Also, mangroves are widespread in an inflow strip on the coast of Brunei. The first states in the territory of Brunei were created by Malayans at the end of the I millennium BC. At the beginning of our era, territories of modern Brunei became one of world trade centers. In the Chinese chronicles of the 6th, 7th centuries it is mentioned under the name Polo, Pole, Groinsbark. In the 14th century Islam became the state religion of Brunei. In the 16th century Brunei represented the powerful feudal state occupying a considerable part of the island of Borneo and some neighboring islands. Such he was seen by seamen of an expedition of Fernando Magallanes whose ships visited here in 1522. In 1839 the British adventurer James Brooke, who was on service of the Sultan, suppressed the revolt of Dayak, threatening the position of the Sultan, and received from him, as a gift, for service of the earth in the north of the country of Sarawak, and the title Rajas, a dynasty of White Rajas, Brukov, of the rule there before World War II, during which Sarawak's territory was occupied by Japan. After the end of war Sarawak turned into direct submission of the British Crown, and in 1962 was a part of Malaysia. In 1888 all Brunei became the British Protectorate. In 1959, after a number of revolts, Great Britain granted autonomy to Brunei in issues of internal self-government. Inclusion of Brunei in structure of Malaysia in 1962 was planned, however the revolt under the direction of the People's Party of Brunei, PP, ruined these plans. The revolt was cruelly depressed British troops. The Sultan, whom the British suspected of sympathies for NPB, was forced to abdicate in favour of the son subsequently. On January 1, 1984 full independence was declared. In 1992 the concept, Malayan Islamic monarchy, was adopted. Sultan Hassanal Bolkiah pursues policy of careful modernization of society. Brunei has diplomatic relations with Russia from the form of government in Brunei, absolute theocratic monarchy with some external signs of constitutional monarchy. The political regime possesses a patriarchal and authoritative form. The head of state and the government's the Sultan. He is the Minister of Defense and also the religious leader of Muslims of the country. The government consists generally of his close relatives. After in 1962, in connection with the attempt of an armed revolt in Brunei, state of emergency was imposed and the Legislative Council is dismissed. The Sultan almost individually runs the country by means of the decrees. State of emergency lasts the Sultan each 2 years. Advisory bodies at the monarch have limited rights. The Sultan personally appoints privy councillors, religious council and council for inheritance, throne, and since 1970, and the Legislative Council. Royal Armed Forces of Brunei consist from Ground Forces, 3 infantry battalions and battalion of support. The Air Force, 3 helicopter squadrons, 1 squadron of transport planes, divisions of air defense, technical and auxiliary divisions. Navy -3 rocket boats, 3 patrol boats, 2 amphibians, 2 landing boats, 17 small river boats. Besides, there is a reserve division of Gurkha, from veterans of the British Army. Performs functions of bodyguard of the Sultan and protection of all objects. It is subordinated to the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Brunei. Brunei joined the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, on January 7, 1984, in 6 days after renewal of full independence, and since then his membership in ASEAN is a priority in foreign policy. Brunei joined the United Nations in September 1984. It is also a member of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, APEC, and the British Commonwealth of Nations. In Brunei, the meeting of economic leaders of APEC in November 2000 took place. In 2005, his delegation participated in the inaugural East Asian Summit. Brunei is divided into 4 districts called a daer. Brunei Moir, the district Temburong is separated by the territory of Malaysia from other districts. Districts are divided into smaller areas called Muki. Population minus 464,478 people. Annual gain minus 1.51%. Average life expectancy is 75.5 years at men, 80.4 years at women. Ethnic structure: Malayans, 66%. Related to them ethnic groups: Kalayana, Ibana, Melanaya, Tusuna, Maruta, Dayaki, etc. Minus 8% live also Chinese, 11%. Europeans, Indians, etc. Official language: Malayan, also English and Chinese languages are widespread. Literacy minus 98.1% of men, 93.4% of women. As of 2018. Urban population minus 78.3%. Population density minus 80.57 people/km. Brunei unevenly is populated, and a half population live in the capital. Other considerable part is concentrated around oil fields. Official religion: Islam minus 78.8% of the population. 7% Christians, generally Protestants and Catholics. 7.8% Buddhists. 4.7% others, generally native cults. In Brunei, 110 mosques, 6 Christian churches, 3 Chinese temples and 1 Hindu temple are officially registered. Since the end of the 1980th years, the concept of Malay Islam Bharata, the Malayan Islamic monarchy, which provided respect and the equal rights of all faiths for territories of the country, but with the dominating Islam role worked in the country. In 2013, in connection with acceptance by the Sultan of Brunei Hassan al-Bolkiah of the Sharia criminal system, the sermon of not Islamic religions is forbidden Muslims or atheists. Violation of this decree threatens with a fine of $20,000 and imprisonment for 5 years. On May 1, 2014, Brunei became the Sharia country. Together with it, the new laws allowing to sentence to death for homosexuality and to strap women for attempt to make abortion were adopted. From Christian faiths, the Protestantism and Catholicism are generally widespread. Confucianism and Taoism are widespread in the Chinese communities. Brunei, the developing state, the exporter of oil. One of the richest and provided states of the world. The country called the Islamic Disneyland for wealth of inhabitants and the Sultan. Thanks to rich reserves of oil and gas, Brunei is high on the list in Asia on the standard of living. NPN per capita in 2009 $50,100. The 9th place in the world. 40% working here, workers from neighboring countries East and Southeast Asia. Brunei's rich oil fields and natural Syria gas and more are on the shelf of the South China Sea. Production and oil refining. Over 10 million tons a year. And gas is the basis of the economy of the state. Over 12 billion m. Which export gives more than 90% of currency receipts. 60% of NPN. On production of liquefied gas, Brunei takes the 4th place in the world. The liquefaction plant, which is taken out by gas carriers to Japan and other countries, operates on the territory of the country. A part of oil and gas is processed at the next Sarawak's, Malaysia, plants. In the country, pulp and paper industry, production of mineral fertilizers, building materials are developed, preparation and processing of wood is conducted. Brunei grows up rice, corn, coconut and cycads, palms, bananas, yam, spices, sweet potato, cassava, cocoa beans, coffee. Domestic industries. Gold and silver sewing, production of jewelry and bronze souvenir guns. Agriculture. 4.2% of labor, 0.7% of GDP. Is developed poorly, 80% of food import Brunei. In Brunei, rice, vegetables, fruit are cultivated, hens, buffalo goats get divorced. The government undertakes measures for diversification of economy, stimulating development of bank and other financial institutions and seeking to attract to the country of tourists. Export $5.885 billion. In 2017. Crude oil, natural gas, clothes. Main buyers. Japan -27.8%, South Korea -12.4%, Thailand -11.5%, Malaysia -11.3%, India -9.3%, Singapore -7.7%, Switzerland -5%, China -4.7%. Import $2. 998 billion. In 2017. Industrial output, consumer goods, food. Main suppliers. China -19.8%, Singapore -19%, Malaysia -18.8%, the USA -9.2%, Germany -5.9%, Japan -4.1%, Great Britain -4%. According to data of MES, The number of internet users in the country is 318,900 people. 2010. Penetration of the internet -80.7%. In the system of Massachusetts Media, the Radio and Television of Brunei Company, ROT. Radio Television Brunei, ROT. Controlled by the state. Telecasts are in color carried out since 1975. Tel 625 system. And hosted in the Malayan and English languages with 6 o'clock in the morning until midnight longer. Transfers are accepted on Channel 5 in Brunei Moir, Tutanjan Tembaronja, and on the 8th channel in Baleta. Some Bruneian programs can be watched also via the satellite within 7 hours, since 15 o'clock on Bruneian time. Ratio of local and foreign programs 35-65. About 75% of the programs which are purchased abroad fall on the USA, the others to England, Australia and the countries of ASEAN. Some local programs. Documentaries. Won the international prizes, in particular Hoso Bunker Foundation Awards. End of satellite stations in Telesay in 1979 and 1983 not only improved and expanded telecommunication services, but also promoted fast transfer of news telecasts. With the purpose to expand sources of news of ROT takes part in exchange of programs for the Asia Vision Line, organized Asia Broadcasting Union. ROT receives also video records from UPIT and Reuters, UPI and Viz News. In the country of card radio receivers and card TZ, practically all population watches transmissions of ROT. The first broadcasts are carried out in May 1957. Then their duration didn't exceed 2 hours. Now there are 2 radio programs. One conducts transfers in Malay and another in English, Chinese, and 30 hours didn't fall lasting. Around Kuala Belait it is possible to accept transfers of the British Armed Forces to radio station. The majority of transfers in Malay own production, and in English, products of BBC. Since 2001 some radio programs are available on the internet. There are 2 systems of satellite television allowing to watch programs on 28 channels including cable news network, BBC World News and several entertainment and sports broadcasts. In the territory of Brunei also 3 channels of television of the neighbouring Malaysia are accepted. In the country 4 private daily newspapers. 2 in English, Borneo Bulletin. Borneo Bulletin. News Express, and 2 on Malayan, Permats Media. Media Permata. Harian Express covering internal and international events. The government, Pelita Brunei, issues the weekly newspaper in Malay. Magazines, mainly entertaining character. Regal Makabak. Mahaba. Friendship belongs to Royal Brunei Airlines. Mutiara. Mutiara. Pearl. Besides, some foreign newspapers and magazines extend. In Brunei International Times. 55,000 copies. The Xinhua Agency. People's Republic of China. The Bulletin with a circulation of 7.5 thousand copies, the Miri Daily Newspaper. 23,000 copies. Have representation. In Brunei there is no law on the press. Activity of means of the press falls under the Act of Newspapers. Chapter 105. And the Act of Undesirable Publications. Chapter 25. Work of television is regulated by the Act of 1997 of Electronic Media. In Brunei different types of sport are developed. Questions of sport. The Ministry of Culture for Youth and Sport knows the soccer, tennis, badminton, golf, table tennis, squash, ball game by special rackets, field hockey, swimming, track and field athletics, snooker, windsurfing, bowling were widely adopted. National sports in particular, the Malayan volleyball, sepak takraw, a local type of martial arts, a top, casing, pulling of a rope are cultivated, tarik kalat. From board national games it should be noted in Maine. Measures for preservation and development of childish traditional sports are taken. Come. A game with roten. 2 stones. Main of a pieris. With rubber rings. Since 1987 in the Olympic Day Massachusetts runnings from 2 to 10 kilometers, including disabled people in carriages, are held on June 23. Since 1993 with frequency of times in 2 years national sports contests. Pestasuk and Kabingan are held. In the Olympic movement it is presented since 1996. The Olympic Games in Atlanta. Regularly participates in Asian Games, Games of Southeast Asia and Arifursti Games. The best achievements of the last time. 1997. The Game of Southeast Asia, Jakarta. 2 silver and 8 bronze medals. 1998. Asian Games, Bangkok. 1 bronze medal. 1999. The Game of Southeast Asia, Bandar Seri Begawan. -48 medals, including 6 gold. 1 on bowling. Pengaran Hagi Tenggak bin Pengaran Tadsudan. And 5 on Asilata. 2 Avang Mokt. Sakapo Radan bin Pengaran Haji Tadsudan, Daang Susana Shak Peri's Bandage, Pengaran Hagi Matali bin Pengaran Haji Eraland. Dod, Pengaran Hagi Mokt. Yusuf bin Pengaran Hagi Eraland. Dod, Tuavang Hagi Mokt. Rudi Vosny Loska. Haji Mode. Bin Pengaran Haji Eraland. Dod. 2000. The World Cup on 2 Silat Jakarta. -7 bronze medals. 2001. 9 Asian Junior Games, Bandar Seri Begawan. 1 bronze medal in run with barriers on M. Holes Arifin Hagi Bakran. 2001. The Borneo Championship on pulling of a rope, Tarik Kalat. The Cup of the Crown Prince. Since 1985 Brunei participates in a Cup of Malaysia on soccer, and in 1999 became the winner of the cup, having beaten in the final the Sarawak team with the score 2-1. Achievements of Brunei in Arifursti Games are significant. Australia. In 1991, 2 gold, 5 silver and 7 bronze medals. In 1993 respectively 5, 4, 27. In 1995, 7, 11, 16. In 1997, 3, 4, 11. In 2001, 6, 2, 13. Sports infrastructure is well developed. National Stadium of Hassanal Bolki, swimming pool Eingrik Dessa, the swimming pool and courts for badminton in the youth center. Views at Belia. There's also Royal Brunei Yacht Club. Royal Brunei Yacht Club. Panaga Club, the sports complex Sukan Manglate Complex Tugadonj and the sports center Mabuai Sports Center with pools, platforms for playing squash, tennis, badminton, halls for aerobics and athleticism. 3 golf clubs. Royal Golf Club of Brunei. Royal Brunei Golf Club. Pentaimaniti Golf Club, Panaga Golf Club, National Tennis Center. National Tennis Center. Tennis Club of Brunei. Brunei Tennis Club. Holidays. Day of Declaration of Independence. On February 23. Day of Armed Forces. On May 31. Birthday of the Sultan. On July 15. Isra Migrads. Ramadan. Al-Fitr Eids, a festival of the first meal after fast after the termination of a post. 1. Eid al-Adha, in memory of a sacrifice of Ibrahim. 10 Zulhijjah. Hijra, Muslim New Year. 1 Mukarram. Mawlid of Nabi, a birthday of the Prophet Muhammad. 12 Rabi. Also Chinese New Year. January, February. Belongs to official holidays. Besides holidays, working days are celebrated. The Teacher's Day on September 23. Day of the Public Servant on September 29. In honor of adoption of the Constitution. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.